Our next guest is a UFC legend who will be fighting Tito Ortiz at Bellator 131 November 15th. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the American Psycho and MMA legend Stephan Bonnar to the program. Stephan, it's actually an honor to have you on Submission Radio. Welcome.
Oh, nonsense. By the end of the interview, you'll say it's a disgrace.
Well, let's have a chat about this. It's just over a month till you step back in the cage and to fight Tito Ortiz. Before we speak about Tito, tell us, how excited are you to get back in the cage and fight one more time?
Well, I mean, these circumstances have me awfully excited. I got blessed to fight, a big name, a really big name. I got blessed to be at main event. I got blessed that it's live and free on Spike TV. And I got blessed that it just happens to be the biggest douchebag the sport of MMA has ever known. So I'm blessed in so many ways.
Seems like it's Christmas for you already, Stephan. Now, your feud with Tito is huge, but before we get to that, we were listening to an interview you did a while back where you discussed your passion for the world of trading. Are you still trading now? And for fans listening at home, tell us a bit about how you got into this industry.
Oh, hell yeah. I got into it, let's see, after I retired, a couple months after I retired, and I was also getting a knee surgery too. And then it was like, okay, I'm retired, I'm getting knee surgery. I got to figure out another way to make money. And I dabbled a little the trading with, when you just buy stocks and whatnot and buy stuff. And, Apple pulls back, so you're going to buy some and hold on to it. Or, I did that with some airline stocks and Netflix. But then I got into day trading, the futures, the S&P 500 futures market, where you every day you just look for setups and read the market in real time and make decisions. And, a lot of trades you close out like half hour and all of them by the end of the day. And it was different. And I mean, it was really exciting. What a rush. I learned a lot of lessons. I broke a lot of rules and made a lot of money. Doing the wrong things, but then I paid for it. It bit me in the ass, and I got lucky that I didn't get my whole account liquidated. Got caught like a couple big corrections with open position. And then you learn. So, but it's just something that you're retired from fighting, and I needed something. I'm kind of OCD, so I needed something else to obsess on. And it was all my whole life was all about UFC, whether it was fighting or training or teaching seminars or making event T-shirts or making goofy T-shirts for the fighters or doing TV work. I mean, it was like my whole life was centered around the UFC. It was like my source of identity. And then, that went, and it was like, shit, what am I left with? Just some dipshit who only knows how to fight people in a cage. Learn something else.
Well,
so that was screaming at me, and it was something I just loved. And I've literally, let's say, I started about a year and a half ago, and since December, I probably logged in thousands of hours of studying. It was just like, my wife thought I was nuts. Like, are you kidding me? That's all you do. So now I've been training for this fight again, and that's another thing that Tito's going to have to pay for. It's going to cost me money, I could watch the market open in the morning. Good thing I'm on the West Coast, opens at 6:30, but within a couple hours, I got to close everything up and go to the gym and train. And, I missed out on a lot of opportunities. And this jerk Tito's costing me money right now.
Now, you briefly mentioned your retirement from the UFC, and, we're going to get to the Tito fight in a moment, but I was just wondering, you briefly mentioned how difficult it was for you to make that decision. I'm just wondering if you could tell us, what really went through your mind when you were making that decision, because, a lot of fighters that we speak to, they say on good days, they feel like they could get into that octagon and fight the best, and on bad days, they realize that, it might be time for retirement. What sort of went into your decision from retiring from the UFC?
Probably like 10 surgeries, a dozen broken bones, and the fact that the fighters keep getting younger and better, and you just keep getting older and more broken down. And really, I was only interested in kind of big name fights, right? I could go in and just, throw caution to the wind and put on a show. And really, the UFC and Dana, it's all about you getting that title shot. So you put a nice winning streak together. We don't care if you want to fight Forrest and coach the show. We don't care if you want to maybe fight Rampage. You're fighting the next guy in line that's trying to get that title. And it was kind of like, man, fuck this shit. You know, I've done it like 12 years. No thanks. Like, no thanks. Let me, like, move on with my life. You know, because I mean, it never gets easy. And you know, like every fight, you got to go through hell to get yourself there. Like, you know, not even go through hell pushing yourself and sparring every day and getting kicked in the nuts on a regular basis, plus having to lose 30-plus pounds in 2 months. And it never gets easy. It's not like baseball where I could be 40 years old with a big belly and a chew of tobacco in and freaking hit the wall and run 90 feet to first base and catch my breath. You know, this is fighting at the highest level. And, yeah, it was like if I wasn't going to get any of those things I asked for, and it was just going to be all about who I got to fight next in line to get that title shot, that was like, no thanks. Like, I've had enough of this shit. I'll move on. So it wasn't too hard. But then this opportunity, too, Bellator calls. You know, well, actually, it was Tito's manager, Dave Thomas. He was looking for a good fight for Tito, someone with a name. You know, it looked like the Rampage fight wasn't going to happen. I don't know exactly. He's got some contract or something going on with Bellator. So, and they wanted to saw, you know, big fight before the end of the year. And, you know, first, what do you think about fighting for Bellator? It's like, no, you know, I'm, you know, not burning any bridges with the UFC. And plus, like, what, they're going to throw me in the tournament and then yada, yada, no thanks. And then it was like, well, what if it was for a tight fight with Tito? They said, fuck yeah, sign me up.
Wow, so had it not been against Tito, you would have maybe never gone back to Bellator, maybe never gone back to fighting. Is that correct?
No, definitely no. And I said, let me check with Dana first. And, you know, he was all for it. Like, man, hope you beat the shit out of him and make a lot of money. And it was like, all right, cool. He's cool with it. Like, it's a fight with Tito. It's against a big name. It's, you know, on free TV, main event, plus it's a guy I truly never cared for and have nothing but utter disdain for. And I could go and let the world know what I feel about him, what I think of him, and then go in there and put on a show. And yeah, just make it a crazy fight. And that's my game plan. Just go in there and throw caution to the wind and put on a barn burner and get the fans cheering. That's really it. No pressure.
Now you must have known or at least spoken and been around Tito quite a few times back in the UFC. I mean, I guess the question is, why the dislike with Tito now? Why not in the UFC? Is it something that Tito's done recently, or what exactly is your problem with it? Why the disdain?
Not so much. We were always cordial with each other. And then, you know, like usually after you fight a guy, especially a couple times, and, you know, you do PR interviews together, you kind of get along, like me and Forrest, and have become pretty good friends. And, you know, even from Forrest, that with Tito, like, he tried to like him, it just wasn't happening. And I knew a lot of, you know, Tito's old buddies and training partner, team punishment guys, like the guys that, you know, spend time with him in the Bay Fair, guys like Justin McCully, other guys that I want to mention. And even before the fight, it's like, hey, what's going on? Tito, you tired? Is he going to fight again? And everyone says the same thing. They look at me kind of the corner of the eye with a sour look on their face, like they just say something sour, and they say, man, F that dude. It's like, and they're like 5, 6 different people, 2 of his old managers too. Man, F that dude. Oh, what did he do to you? Let me hear this one. Oh, yeah, he was supposed to pay you X amount of dollars, you know, spent all that time with him, and he stiffed you or shorted you. And, you know, the managers do, oh, and he tried not paying me, and yada, yada. And it was like a broken record. And it just kind of showed the guy's character. You know, I don't know about you guys, but let's ask all your old buddies of like 10, 20 years what they think of you. And I don't know, if they all say you're an asshole, then it's probably true.
Yeah, maybe just don't ask them just to be safe.
Yeah,
On top of that, too, I was getting inducted in the Hall of Fame with Forrest last year, and it was like, it's not something I like campaigned and begged for. It was like, hey, guess what? They're going to put you and Forrest in the Hall of Fame. Oh, all right, cool, you know? So I go there, it's at the expo, and I got my booth and talking to fans, and then everyone's coming up, oh, did you hear what Tito, did you hear what Tito? Tito says you don't deserve it. Said you got no business being in there. So it's bullshit. Like, oh, okay. Like, you know, you couldn't wait till, like, you know, a couple days later to you know, concern your disgust for their decision to put me in there. You got to, like, make it vocal on the day I'm getting put in there. It's like, okay, my day to, you know, okay, cool, collect a nice little plaque and get a round of applause. Whatever. Like, that's an honor. I'll take it. And then have someone try to take a crap on that kind of pissed me off.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
and also, just coming up in the sport, I remember back fucking, oh, sorry about the language.
Oh, you
But
can
gosh,
swear
I
all you
remember-
want. We're in Australia, Stephan. We pretty much do whatever we want.
Sweet. Yeah, that's how it should be. You know? If you don't like cuss words, change the fucking channel. So
Now,
Tito, though, he's always, like, been a guy I didn't like. I thought he was disrespectful. I thought when he beat Guy Metzger and flipped off Ken Shamrock, it was disrespectful. I thought when he, like, beat Evan Tanner's laying there. It looks like he's hurt bad, completely not moving. He's digging him a grave. Like, that's disrespectful. Yeah, after he beat Kenny, where the shirt that said I killed Kenny, very disrespectful. After he beat Vitor on a split decision, that easily could have went to Vitor. He just got it because of the takedown. And he ran around, parading around the arena like, you know, he was the greatest thing ever. Then he talked a bunch of crap to Chuck, who had already knocked him out. And then when Chuck got up and said, dude, like, really? I'll knock you out again. Then he said, let me beat up someone, call out someone I know I could beat up. Then he called out Ken Shamrock again, started calling him Slam Cock. Just tons of real disrespectful behavior. And on top of that, I always thought he was boring. He's had good fights, but they were because of the other guy. Because the other guy was able to stuff takedowns or get up off the takedowns and hit him in the face and make it exciting. If it were up to him, he'd just hold every guy down for dear life, and, you know, throw little elbows and then hold on, make sure he doesn't stand up and win rounds. And, yeah, that's, to me, that's not fighting. So, and yeah, I pissed him off. He says he's going to fight me like a man, and we'll see if he's a man of his word.
you know, speaking of rivalries, you know, you have a nice little alliance happening with Justin McCully. Now, we're just wondering, you know, how did you guys get hooked up? How did you guys come together? Obviously, he's the big mystery masked man, but people don't really know much about him. So tell us, what's his issue with Tito Ortiz? And are you guys working to get together?
He's been with him for a number of years. I first met him back in Jungle Fight in 2003 in the Amazon in Manaus, Brazil. When I fought Machida, he fought on the same card. Mm-hmm. And even back then, he had been trained with Tito, and I helped Tito get ready for his fights, and Big Bear, and yada, yada. So they go way back. And, 5-6 years later or so, I see him, in his corner when he's beating up Shamrock, and I see Tito in Justin's corner when Justin's fighting in the UFC. So, obviously it just tells me they're friends of a long period of time. And then a little over a year ago, like way before this fight was even thought about, I think even before the Hall of Fame thing, like I called some fights with him for the RFA. And I was like, oh, yeah, what's up with Tito? Is he going to fight again? I know you two are good buddies. And he gave me that sour look and said, man, F that dude. And it's like, oh, here we go again. What did he do to you? And, of course, like every training camp, he'd say you give Justin X amount of dollars for, leaving his family and spending a couple months there training with him. And he'd short him. And there's some other things, too. But, yeah, he said F that dude. Oh, that's too bad. I don't like hearing that. Like, it's like, it kind of makes me sad. Oh, God, you guys were together all those years and great friends, and now you had a falling out. That kind of sucks, And I didn't have anything with Tito then. And, yeah, then when this fight, the possibility of this fight came up, he got a hold of me and said, I'd love to help you get ready for him. I know Tito better than anyone. And, I've been in a ton of his camps. So what do you say? Hell yeah, come on up. So he's been up here with me, helping me train for this.
Now, Stephan, we saw a video, I think it was the other day, you were getting interviewed, you choked out the interviewer. I'm not going to lie, the guy looked like a troublemaker from the get-go, so, it's probably a good decision, but we're also glad that we're on the other side of the world, so it's not going to happen to us. We noticed that Justin's still wearing the mask. Question is, how come Justin's still wearing the mask? We know who he is now. He's not the mystery ninja anymore.
his point in wearing that mask is anyone could be under there. A number of people, one of 100. It's pretty much that Tito goes and does the same thing to, that everyone who steps forward and helps him out. He's selfish. He's a self-centered person with a huge, huge inflated ego, and really does everything he can to protect that ego. And that's what is so inviting and gratifying about taking this fight is he's the one who's got to win it. Like, he has all those fans. He's the icon. He puts himself up on this pedestal like he's this great supreme being. And dude, he's got to beat my ass, and he's not gonna. And then afterwards, when he sees just a regular dude whooped his ass, his whole world's gonna crumble. Because I'm the opposite. I don't think I'm some icon or up on this pedestal. I'm really no different than anyone else. And I've never been that that type. And I think that's why I dislike his personality so much. We're such polar opposites.
But you're very modest, Stephan. You're one of the biggest icons in MMA. Now, you mentioned that you had a number of surgeries, a number of broken bones. Okay, so let's go to the moment you realize you're getting back in the cage with Tito. It's going to be a huge fight. Obviously, you mentioned you've been doing your training, and you've probably been training casually, but, nothing getting ready for a fight. Now you're back in the gym, like you mentioned. You're getting ready for this bout with Tito. Tell us, how's the body feeling? Obviously, it's been a while since you've had a hard training camp going into a fight. How's the body feeling right now? How does it feel to be back in training and getting ready for another bout?
I'm actually right on pace. I'm right where I should be. Every week I put myself through, as much as my body can handle, pushing myself till I vomit and then some. And every week it gets a little better and a little better. And right now I got 4 more hard weeks to push. I just put in a real good week. And I won't lie, my shit hurts. I'm sore as hell, and it got arthritis, and I ice all the time and Celebrex before bed. But I've done this many a time. I could suck this up for another month and train my balls off and be in pain. I've done it for years. So this is nothing new. It's just something where I was kind of sick of going through. I know I could push and always, I broke my toe a couple weeks ago. I haven't missed a workout, It just hurts. Tape it up and push through it. And that's how I've always been. It's really no problem. It's just unless it's something as rewarding as a fight with Tito, where I could go and put on a show. I'm not so motivated to go through that crap, just for, regular run-the-mill fights. So this was a blessing. I was blessed with this opportunity. So hell yeah, I don't care what hurts on me. I'm going to suck it up and push through it and deliver.
Awesome. Now, obviously we can't wait for the fight. One thing I wanted to ask you, Stephan, is obviously you and Tito, you're squaring off November 15th, Bellator 131. The card is looking good. You've also got a big fight between Will Brooks and Michael Chandler as the co-main, and King Mo versus Tom DeBlass is finally happening. And of course, an exciting fight between Melvin Manhoef and Joe Schilling. Now, you guys, however, will be competing against another event on the same day. Of course, your previous employer, the UFC, have a card that day too. How do you feel about going head-to-head with them?
Honestly, at first it wasn't going to be like that. It wasn't going to be on the same date. And wasn't until the night, where me and Tito got in the cage and I talked shit about Jen and whatnot. That's when I found out they were going to put it on the same night. And really, I won't lie. I kind of was whoa at first. Really? Compete with the UFC heavyweight fight? Then I thought to, most of my friends and family, and what cheapskates they are, and most of them would much rather watch something on free TV than have to pay $50.
Stephan, you just mentioned that you had a broken toe in training. I'm just wondering, how severe is it? Do you think it's going to affect the fight in any way? Because I believe that's news. Nobody really knew that you had a broken toe.
Oh, I made it through the worst. Really, after you break the bone, whether it's a little foot bone, a hand, or a toe, those first 2 weeks, right after you break it, those are the worst. But after that 2-week mark, it starts getting better. And what's it been, about 3.5 probably? And just yesterday, Fitch is teaching the pros class on One Kick Nick's gym, and we did a conditioning circuit where we had to do box hops. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. and I was able to do it. And
wow.
so I made it through the worst, and it's only getting better from here.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think it'll affect you at all come November 15th, or do you think it'll be completely healed up? Do you think it'll limit you from doing anything in the fight?
Big bones take about 6 to 8 weeks to heal, like, say, the humerus or, bigger bone. But little fingers or little foot bones, even hands, 4 to 6 weeks. And it'll be 4 weeks, I think, on Thursday. So, yeah, it's already feeling good. So it's not going to be a factor at all. Like, I'll be kicking full force with it come the fight.
Wow. Now, Tito said, Tito was on our show a few weeks ago, and he said that he plans on taking you down and punching you with elbows. It's a recipe that he's used in the past and has brought in some success. How do you plan on stopping and nullifying his wrestling?
Well, what I've been working on. That's the first thing I started working on. I heard about this fight. That's what I'm working the most. So, we all know his plan is to squeak out a decision and fight me like a coward. So I know that. So I'm going to stop his takedowns and make him fight me like a man. Yeah. Like, shut his takedowns down. If I do get down, pop back up and make him fight me.
Now, Stephan, the big iconic fight, obviously, in your career was the finale of the first Ultimate Fighter against you and Stephan Bonnar. It was something that changed, MMA. It was one of the big first successful nights the UFC had, and a lot of people attribute the UFC being around now to that fight. We go back forward now to 2014, and you and Tito Ortiz are fighting, for a fight which could be one of the biggest fights, in Bellator history. How does it feel for you to have another opportunity, to help a company sort of get to the next level?
Yeah, it feels like everything's coming full circle. Like, this whole fighting career is this, and I say this parentheses from Top 1 finale to this fight with Tito, but really, go back to my first fight in 2001. Hell, go back to, doing Taekwondo as a little kid and wrestling. I've been a martial artist my whole life, but yeah, my MMA career started in 2001, but really the first parenthesis mark is that fight with Forrest. And who knows what the last one will be. Maybe, I'll get offered another big money fight after this. I don't know. I can't say what I'm going to do after this fight with Tito Ortiz, but I'm just going to go in and deliver and try to top that Forrest fight and make Tito fight me like a man, make it exciting, and just throw tons of punches at him till he's out of there. Or, if he happens to take all the punches, I'll congratulate him at the end of the fight. But, that's my plan. It's no secret. Make it a barn burner, bring the chaos.
I get, Stephan, you sort of half answered that my next question just before, but I wanted to know, so like in terms of after the Tito fight, do you have any plans on continuing to fight, or are you just not sure and undecided at this point? I'm really not thinking about that at all. I got something big going on with the trading in January for a month, and that'll definitely be the main focus from January to February. Then I'll take it from there.
Now, Stephan, we let the Aussie fans know you're coming on the show, and they sent through some fan questions, so we'll ask you a couple of fan questions if it's okay.
Sure.
Okay, well, the first question we have from a man called Will K.O. Will would like to know, do you think that Anderson Silva deserves to be inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame?
Are you kidding me? That guy was the pioneer. Before I even grew the nutsack to step in the cage myself, I was watching Vanderlei going, holy crap, this guy is amazing. Like, I love the way this guy fights. Like, if I could fight like anyone and just bring the utter violent chaos, it's Vanderlei Silva. So, hell yeah.
Now, Adamant wanted to know, as far as other fighters go, what are some other dream fights that you wanted to see that never happened? Just from a fan perspective.
Me and Forrest coach tough.
Oh,
and then, of course, beat the crap out of each other one more time.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, and I know you...
That was the big dream. I was convinced. I was convinced it would happen. It was just something I could talk Dana into, but couldn't do it.
And that was something that everybody sort of wanted to see happen as well. I think that would have been great for Tough. I think they really missed the ball with that one. We have a question here from Saint Nick the Pick, and he'd like to know, obviously you versed Anderson Silva once, and it was a bit of a difficult fight. Looking back on that fight, do you think he should have approached the fight with a different strategy? If you had another opportunity to rematch him, would you approach it in a different way?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta understand that fight. I pretty much got my retirement letter. That's when I was asked in February. I was asking Dana, me and Forrest, the coach. He said it wasn't happening. Even Ariel Helwani called me out on live TV, and Dana said, "Hey, he came in the office. I told him that wasn't happening. We were under the understanding that he was retired." I got my retirement letter from them in March. July came around, and they actually offered me a position, and I was an employee and working for the UFC, getting health insurance. And when you're an employee for the UFC, you can't fight. You can't do both. So I stepped down from fighting, was working for the UFC, getting a paycheck. And then in September, that UFC Rio card totally fell apart. Like the co-main event, main event, had injuries. And, yeah, remember Jose Aldo injured himself on a scooter? Then there was another one. And they were going to cancel the show. And really, like, Anderson stepped up and said, well, okay, I'll step up and take a fight to save the show. And they offered him some names. And from what I heard, he's like, oh, Stephan, that sounds like a fun one. And then I got the call. I really couldn't believe it. It was like, no way. Like, really? You want me to fight Anderson? When? Well, in a couple weeks. Like, it's like, damn, like, I wish I hadn't been retired. Anyways, so, yeah, if I could have done anything differently in that fight, it'd be like, train a couple months for it.
Yeah, I think most people would approach an Anderson fight that way. Now, Stephan, we know you're a busy guy. There's just one more thing we want to do with you. It's called the Submission Radio Tap Out Round that we do with all our guests. Basically, throw a bunch of fun questions at you, and you answer them with the first thing that comes to your mind, kind of like word association. Are you ready?
Yeah, I really suck at that, but go ahead.
That's all right. All right, first question: will you be dressing up as Justin McCully this Halloween?
No.
Anderson Silva versus Nick Diaz. We want a prediction from you, Stephan. Who wins and how?
Damn. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking Anderson, just more polished striker, more tools. But, like, Diaz is a cardio machine. And, like, there's a chance he could wear him down and take the fight late. But I'll go with Anderson.
Okay. Now, your Punch Buddies T-shirt line is awesome. Are there any plans to release any new T-shirts?
Not really. Been making some event shirts for, where UFC travels around the different cities and countries. But as far as the Punch Buddy shirts go, I discovered, like, how hard it was to make money with it. You got to really hustle to sell those shirts, and then from your profits, you got to invest most of it back into print shirts and websites and whatnot. And just kind of the whole trading thing ruined it. When I could just play around like I'm playing a little game of high-low and make some money that way, it was like, why am I like tearing my head out getting these shirts printed and shipped and, waiver signed and royalty checks, and then it just, that ruined it.
Now, Stephan, when you brought out Justin McCully in that big announcement of Bellator, our marketing division decided to come up with some other alternative surprise people you could have brought out with you. We have a list here, and we want you to choose out of your favorite one if you could choose one more person to bring out with you, okay? So I'm going to read out the options. We've got Bob Sapp. So, sure, Tito never had anything against Bob Sapp, but having Bob Sapp next to you would have been a very nice moment. You reveal the mask, and it's Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell's always had a rivalry with Tito, and he could throw his phone at Tito's head. We've got Forrest Griffin. Tito and Forrest have unfinished business, and you and Forrest work together to take Tito out. Well, finally, you take the mask off, and you have Dana White standing there. Dana White, nothing else needs to be said. Which one would you choose?
I'll choose B, none of the above. I would bring out Jenna Jameson.
Wow, good answer. Now, Stephan, is Tito Ortiz the kind of guy that would eat the asparagus tops and leave the rest in a jar for everyone else?
Oh, wow. I think Tito's selfishness goes to a whole different level. I think Diego is just so focused on himself and whatnot. I mean, it's different. Like, put it this way. I've been out at the club with Diego, and for one, he doesn't come up and charge me to help chip in on the bottle. And if he did, I totally would chip in on it. But I would be pissed off if I later found out that them bottles that he always gets from this particular club were always being comped. And he's hitting his friends up for money and profiting off of them when he gets bottles comped at a club.
Wow.
I'm sorry, that's just Tito Ortiz. Another story. Another story.
Ouch.
I mean, what kind of guy? Imagine your friend doing that. How low is that?
Wow. We have a couple of friends that might do something like that as well, so we know how you feel. Now, Stephan, you've worked a little bit with Dave Bautista when he was in MMA. You've had a bit of sparring with him. Tell us, how would you rate Dave's skill set in MMA?
I mean, Dave had one pro fight, and he went through hell. He went through a hell of a training camp for it. And, like, I'll say just perfectly, yeah, his wrestling and his grappling game is pretty good. Like he's got a nice, fast double leg, heavy chop game, good back control, and really, he's wrestled in high school. He wrestled all those years. So, of course, that's the area of his game that's strongest. The striking game, although not bad, is the one that, just like everyone else, strengths and weaknesses, the one that would need a little more work.
Now, second last question, Stephan. You know, you're the American Psycho. That's your nickname. And it's an iconic nickname too. However, the Submission Radio marketing department just come up with 3 potentially new nicknames if you were so inclined to choose them. So from the following 3, which would you choose? We've got the Wolf of Cage Street. We've got Sir Bonnar III.
Oh, the Wolf of Cage Street. That's good.
Yeah, he's thinking about it. Sir Bonnar III, Duke of Cornbury. Think about that one. Or Bad News Bonnar.
Cornbury.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where it is anyway, but it sounds really sophisticated.
Yeah, I have no idea what that part means. The first one was pretty good. What was the third one?
Bad News Bonnar.
That's not bad. McCully's other one for me is Big Bad Bonnar. That's
Big Bad Bonnar?
Cool. Yeah, it's kind of Bad News Bonnar, Big Bad. Yeah, I would think of a pro wrestler, Bad News Brown.
Yeah.
When I hear that one. But Big Bad Bonnar, kind of similar there. I like them both.
Fantastic. And now finally, Stephan, give us your prediction. How are you planning on finishing Tito in your fight at Bellator 131, November 15th or 16th here in Australia?
Yeah, I'm psychologically, for me, I visualize what's going to come out of my mouth in the post-fight interview, which is usually going to be good. And I visualize just hitting them repeatedly in the face. Not necessarily fixed out with the outcome. Not necessarily visualize, like what strike takes them out ultimately. But just hitting them over and over. And my victory speech is what I visualize. So I get that question a lot. What's your prediction on how you're going to take them out? I'm going to savor every time I get to punch that bastard in the face so much that that's what I'm visualizing.
Well, there you go. We can't wait to see it happen, and we can't wait to see your post-fight speech. Guys, you can follow Stephan on Twitter at Stephan Bonnar. Make sure you follow him. A lot of great stuff happening on Twitter leading up to this fight. And Stephan, it's an absolute honor to have you on the show. Obviously, me and Cass, big fans of yours. And we look forward to seeing your return in Bellator. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Go Roosters.